our pastoral staff at Christ Point Church. We also want you to know that if you have any questions, prayer requests, or need information on any of our ministry opportunities, you can email us at www.info@christpoint.church. We love you, and we are praying that this will be the best year yet. Welcome home.
You know what? Let me challenge you with this. This little thing called pornography is adultery for a married person. Sorry, it is. So if I've got it on the screen, I'm disrespecting the Lord. I'm disrespecting my marriage, my wife, me. So in other words, lying comes out of nowhere, guys. Maybe I'm at my cubicle. I'm working. And all of a sudden, he sure do look pretty. This guy next to me. All of a sudden, the line came out of nowhere. And if we don't watch it, we're going to have a problem. So the line comes out of nowhere. Samson's line is the I'm going to back up and say it again. Samson's line is by far the worst line. So I'm going to show it to you. Before I do, I want to tell you about James. I want to tell you about Douglas. There was a preacher that began to get a little bit full of himself. He began to start thinking that it was him that was doing it and not God. See, if we're not careful, we can start realizing, start letting our reality start trumping our faith. All of a sudden now I'm like, hey, I'm all that. Because you know what? Success it courts arrogance. So all of a sudden this guy starts, so he's starting to venture out away from God on his own. So he's going to heal. I'm going to have a healing service tonight. Just, go feel it. I'm going to show you that I can do this. I'm this person. So he says, I'm going to heal 2 people tonight. He says, somebody wants to be healed. Come forward. The dude comes up, had polio when he was a kid. Crippled from his waist down, walking with those little things, those sticks. He says, son, I see that you're that you have an infirmity. Explain to us what it is. Well, I'm crippled. I've had polio. What's your name? My name is James. So I want to ask you, James, do you want to be healed? Really, I do. Well, you came forward. Do you think I can heal you? I'm going to give it a whirl. I think so, yes. Why don't you stand behind the curtain? I'm going to ask one person to come up. One more person. Guy comes up, walks up. He looks fine. Don't look like he's got anything wrong with him. He says, sir, what's your name? He said, my name's Douglas. He says, sir, what's your infirmity? He said, I have a speech impediment. Just a little bit. He said, would you like for me to heal you from this speech impediment? He said, yeah. He said, well, do you think I can? Sure. He said, well, I want you to go behind the curtain. And he said, so they're both back there. And he says, this is what I'm going to do, people. I'm going to slap that curtain and they're going to be healed. I'm going to show you that I'm doing this and I need you to follow me. So he slaps the curtain. He says, I command you to be healed in my name. He says, James, throw out your crutches. James throws out his crutches. He said, Douglas, speak. Douglas, hey, James fell down. So let me tell you why I say this, because I love the story. We can't do this on our own. The minute we think that it's us is the minute that we get into a dangerous place. The minute that we get into the forbidden place is the minute that we have let the line that is the most dangerous line, take over. The more of our desires we pack the trail with, because literally, I like to describe this sermon as Samson's on his dusty trail. Every one of us have a dusty trail that we're called to. Samson's on his. What are we going? Is it our dusty trail? It never was. It's God's. So he's on his dusty trail. He's gone. He's on a journey. He's on a mission. He's on a quest to find himself a wife. Samson's line is so dangerous because of this. Samson's line represents the flesh. It represents the want to. This is what I deserve, the carnal thought pattern. In other words, you say, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I really want that car. It only costs $50,000. And I am willing to pay the monthly payments on it that I can't afford so everybody can look at me and say, look what they got. So I'm feeding the fleshly desire. I want the woman in the cubicle next to me. It doesn't matter if my wife at home doesn't like it. I want the woman in the cubicle next to me. That's the fleshly desire. I want whatever's on the screen to give me some kind of a mental pleasure because that's what I want. It's the fleshly desire. Let me show you what this looks like. We had a lengthy series of meetings this weekend with what we call the executive team. And so there's some trail mix there. So I'm sitting there and we're talking. I'm just grabbing. I mean, seriously, when I'm in those settings, I can eat a dead dog. It wouldn't matter. I mean, I just eat whatever's laying there. So I keep eating handful of this trail mix. Okay, so here's what I can't do anymore because I've been blessed with a sensitive tummy, and I can't have anything anymore. So I can't eat a certain sugar. I don't know, it's just sugar. I can eat unsweetened stuff, or fake sugars. But so mess my stomach up the whole weekend. I'm jacked up the whole weekend because I took something that I knew I shouldn't take. Because my flesh said it's all right. Nothing else within reach. Might as well grab that. So messed me up the whole time. And I'm like, who bought those? Tina said, well, you did, honey. We just came by the store on the way here. So Samson's line is so dangerous because it represents the flesh. Let me show you why. The word Timnah, this is where he's headed. This is where the vineyard is in that region. In Timnah, the word means forbidden in Hebrew. The word so he's on a forbidden journey. So it was a town in Judah. I mean, this is an Israelite name. It was a town in Judah, in region of Israelite ownership, but was occupied by the Philistines because they had lost control because of the enemy. See, we lose control when we let the wrong thing in. And then when we push God out, then all of a sudden the enemy comes in. So, apparently, this is a very alluring place, man. It's some pretty women, pagan beliefs, pagan cultures. Because I'm going to tell you something, stand strong, but she will talk you in, or he will talk you into not standing strong. So, it's a forbidden place. So, let's look at the line. Samson is under a very strict vow. Remember that. He's already ventured into the forbidden city, laid eyes upon a forbidden woman. Now he's on his way back there after convincing his mother and father that you got to help me get the woman. And he's going to fetch him a wife like Ernest T. Bass. I'm going to go throw rocks until I get her. So notice with me. Let's go to chapter 14. Notice with me in verse 4. He's with his parents. So we see that he's with his parents on his dusty trail. He's on his way to Timnah. He's got his parents with him. So we see this. So it's very evident. So let's look at what happens between 4 and 5. Something happens. So we go from verse 4 to verse 5 and we see something totally different. All of a sudden, we see he's in a vineyard. He's alone because his mother and father don't know what's going on. He's kept his location secret from his parents, and he kills a lion, and he's so far away from his parents, they don't even hear it. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. If a lion comes into my house and I have to kill it with my bare hands, it's probably not going to be a quiet thing. It's probably going to be very, very loud. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm killing him. He's probably going to make noise. So, notice, his parents aren't there anymore. He's in a forbidden place. He's headed down a dusty trail to a forbidden town to seek out a forbidden woman. So let's just back up. Remember what he can't have anything to do with. He can't be a part or have any kind of input or any kind of intake of the vine, the vineyard, the grape, the seed, skin, nothing. Well, where do we find him? In a vineyard. We find him in a vineyard. That's why his mom and dad's not there. He don't want them to know he's in a vineyard. You know what I think he's doing? Eating grapes. I think he's in there eating grapes because he's hungry on the way there. You know, it's kind of like me fasting. You know what? I'm fasting. I'm doing real good till I get hungry. It's okay. I can come off my vow to eat them grapes. So he's eating grapes. The flesh kicks in. He's about to break the vow. He's in a vineyard, shouldn't be there, it's forbidden. So if you don't know what key points are, where you been? Key points, let's break this down in key points. Key point number 1, our flesh is our largest line. Our flesh is our largest line. It's our greatest adversary. This is the thing. Samson's not doing battle against the lion, he's doing a battle against himself. This is our greatest. Do you realize what the lion is? It's our toughest foe. It's the bar to the alcoholic. It's the casino to the gambler. It's the dealer to the drug addict. It's the dessert to the dieter. It's the trail mix to the pastor. It's the thing that will knock you for a loop. It's the thing that will cause you to forget your vow, because it's our flesh that wants what we want. And sometimes the flesh just charges us out of nowhere. Do you realize the animal that charged him wasn't an old animal? It was a young animal. It was a young lion. So our only recourse, this is the only recourse we have here, is we have to kill it. We have to kill the fleshly desire. John, the absolute Baptist, one of the greatest men that ever walked the face of the earth, said, I got to just decrease. Because if I don't decrease, he's not going to increase. So I got to get out the way so he can have his way. So we've got to kill this thing called flesh. We've got to crucify it. It's called our want, our desire. You know, I have something in my life right now that I'm not sure if it's God saying it or not, so I've had to lay a fleece. I've had to ask the Lord, I will do this, and if it happens, then I know you wanted me to do it. If it doesn't happen, I know you didn't want me to do it. So I've laid that fleece out there. And you can ask us, and we'll tell you what a fleece is. So we've laid that fleece out there. Because, you know what, I don't think I'm smart enough to make the choices, because I can get emotionally attached. So the Christian life, I've said this before, we have to kill it, guys. We have to kill that line within us. If we don't kill it, then it's going to kill us. So this Christian life, said it over and over, it's like living in the jungle. Everything's wanting to kill you. So key point number 2, if we have to hide it, it's probably flesh-driven. If we have to hide it, it's probably flesh-driven. If you can't show your wife what's on the screen, it's probably not what you need to be looking at. There's only one thing on that computer screen, that you need to be hiding from your wife, and that's the gift that you're buying her for Christmas. That's the only thing you need to be hiding. And you even have permission from the Lord to lie about it during that time of. Did you buy me this? I don't know what you're talking about. You're just guilty as all get out. So if we have to hide it, it's probably the flesh. It's probably something that's not. It's probably something that's timnah, that's forbidden. See, Samson's parents weren't with him during this time. So key point number 3: the flesh ain't as dead as we think it is. It's not. Well, I prayed last month, and I gave it all to the Lord. We better be praying again tomorrow. Because the flesh ain't as dead as we think it is. Let me show you. Samson and his mom and daddy go down to Timnah. They get them the woman. Got me a pretty woman. Going to come back right by the same place. Spend some time down there. Comes back by the same place. And he sees the lion carcass. Mom and dad know nothing about the lion. Know nothing about the vineyard. But this is what he sees. He sees it, so he made a point to go back into the vineyard. So we got to read between the lines. He made a point to get off of the trail and go back into the vineyard. When he goes back into the vineyard, he sees the lion. Remember what? He's not supposed to be around anything dead. He gets so close to it, he scoops honey out of the vessel, out of the carcass. Not only does he participate in sin, he invites his mother and father to participate. Here, you can have some too. They don't know where it came from. So, the flesh, it's not as dead as we think it is. On his way back, he sees the lion carcass, revisits it, gets close to it. Flesh wants hungry. Well, won't get me some grapes. But you know what? I'll compromise because I'm not supposed to be eating grapes. So I'll get next to the dead thing, which I'm not supposed to be next to, or not supposed to touch, and I'll get the honey out of that. So, verse 8 and verse 9, we find out a whole lot about Samson. I think Samson was he was a powerful man supernaturally, but I think he was a very weak man fleshly. I think Samson could have done all of us could do way more than what they really did. So, Samson gets the girl, marries her, throws a 7-day party in a forbidden town, passed through a forbidden place, set foot into a forbidden vineyard, was probably partaking from the forbidden fruit, sees an animal carcass which is forbidden in a forbidden place. A lot of forbiddens right there. So Samson gets something going on that brings us to key point number 4. Arrogance is deadly. Key point number 4, arrogance is deadly, guys. So let me show you what this looks like. Samson becomes a little bit arrogant, kind of throws out a little challenge. Let me see. I got some of these guys here. You know what? If I can give you a riddle and you can solve it, we'll make a little wager. What do you say about that? Sure. Out of the water, I think that spelled correct. I don't think it says water. Out of the water, something to eat, and out of the strong, something sweet. Tell me what that is. He's the only one who knows it. You know what? They're so determined to beat him, they pay his wife off to get the answer. So the arrogance ended up costing men their lives, cost him his marriage, cost his wife her life, his father-in-law his life. Because he could have just, you know what? If you want to kill the Philistines, kill them. Why involve people that it cost them their lives? So, key point number 5, the dusty road. It doesn't belong to us in all reality. See, Samson tried to make it all about him. It's all about me. So let me just say right now, before we get the pitchforks and we're going to take him out and kill him, he's just like us. Do you know that I think it's like 95% of the prayers we pray are about us? They're self prayers. Lord, what about me? Lord, protect me. Lord, give me. Lord, take this away from me. Most of our prayers are inwardly focused. So we're not a lot different than Samson. So let me ask this question. How much time did Samson waste on himself? He was called before he was even conceived to be a judge, a leader, almost like a king. Without being a king, without a monarchy mentality, but to be the leader of the entire nation of Israel before he was even conceived. How much time did he waste on himself? How much time? Think about how much time he wasted because he kept chasing after girls and he kept chasing after desires. He'd get mad and he started retaliating. You know what? God called him to judge. God didn't just call him to be strong, He called him to be wise. And He called him to judge over the people. And he just seemed like he never could get himself out of the way. How much time did he waste on himself? Now let me ask this question. We got this whole Samson in mind, and we got this whole Samson thing where like, shame on him, right? How much time have we wasted on ourselves? I don't know if I want to hear that. I don't like that part. How much time have I wasted on me? How much time? Do you realize, well, it's not going to hurt me to buy that car. God wants me to have good transportation. But it's going to cost me 5 to 7 years of hard labor that I will forsake time with my family to pay for the car. Trust me, you got to have one. I don't know how we're making it nowadays. I don't know how we're going to make it. I have bought probably 10 houses that cost less than any car right now. And I'm like, I don't know how. I drive an old truck. It's fine. Would I like to have a new one? Heck, yeah, I would. But do I want to pay for one? No way. No way. I'll just keep driving the one I got. So, Samson tried to make it all about him. He's not a whole lot different from us. You say, well, wait a minute, Pastor. Different from me. I'm not called to be a pastor. I'm not called to lead. I'm not called to be powerful in the Lord. I'm not called. God has not built me for those things. I want to show you something. I just want. If you don't think so, I'm going to show you that you are. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. You are a chosen race. You are a royal priesthood. You are a holy nation. You are a people of His own possession. This is what you are. Why? So you can proclaim the excellencies of Christ, who has called you out of the darkness and into His marvelous light. Why would we allow God to call us out of darkness and into His marvelous light? Not just light, but His marvelous light. Because once we're removed from darkness and into light, then we can shine light into other people's darkness. We can't do anything in darkness, guys. We're going to stumble and fall. So, this is what I didn't see here. I didn't see pastor, the word pastor, leader, teacher. I didn't see that. You say, well, I'm not called to do that. You're a pastor. You're called to walk differently. You can't be drinking. You're a pastor. We don't need to be drinking because it's not for kings. Proverbs chapter 31. We don't need to be drinking because it's going to lead to destruction. We don't need to be drinking because it doesn't honor the Lord. So, well, I do one once in a while. I'm sorry, I just don't believe. I don't agree. So I mean, it's like, well, you know what? Should I be smoking? I don't think you should. I know it's hard to quit, but I think you should start trying to figure out how to quit. I really do. So because God's given us one temple. And He's like, look, you can honor me with this temple. You can look different with this temple. You can act different. You can be Nazirite with this temple. Are you going to do that? Sometimes it's a little hard, guys. See, we're ultimately called into His marvelous light. And if we're called into His marvelous light, then that means we can illuminate the light and we can win people to the Lord. People aren't going to be drawn to the darkness. It's not going to happen. Samson had to become blinded to his flesh before he could see God's marvelous light. This guy had to literally popped his eyes out. This is a children's story, by the way. He had to have his eyes removed from his head, never to see again, so he could remove the visual obstructions, the visual distractions, so he could see God's marvelous light. I mean, it's like, I don't understand that. Well, this is how God works. The quicker we figure it out, the better off our lives are going to be. And I'm going to tell you, His strength, I'm confident, His strength didn't lie in the length of His hair. His strength was in the obedience to keep Himself looking different. That was where the obedience is. I mean, that's where the strength lied. His power is in the obedience to follow God, to stand out, to look different. We're not going to win anybody to the Lord. I mean, you say, well, I'm not called to win anybody to the Lord. 1 Peter 2:9. You are a chosen race. You are a royal priesthood. You are a holy nation. You are a people of His own possession. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because I'm going to tell you something. We have this idea that we can just float through life and it's all about me. I can skip out if I want to and skip back in. God is not an interstate where we can off-ramp or on-ramp whenever we feel like it. We don't get tired and off-ramp and get a hotel at the Holiday Inn and get back on. We don't off-ramp and on-ramp whenever we feel like it. We got to stay the trail. We got to stay on course. His strength didn't lie there. The line of the flesh doesn't care about you and me. I promise you, the enemy working through the flesh doesn't care if it destroys your marriage. Laughs about it. Doesn't care. I remember talking with a friend saying, if you don't cultivate and you don't give your wife some attention, she's not going to stay around. She'll go, she'll leave or she'll stay. And she's gone. And they're both remarried to other people. And I told him, I said, you will see another man have a voice in your children's lives. You can fix it now, or you can look back and then all of a sudden we've got a whole mixture of things. You don't have to do this. You're in church. Focus on the Lord. My desire wanted differently. My pride wouldn't let me give her what she needed. And I'm going to tell you what she didn't need. She didn't need sex. She needed to be loved, listened to, cared for, made important. You're more important than these things. See, the enemy that is called the lion that works through the flesh wants to devour, wants to work through the rebellion, wants to work through our pride, our selfish desires. He wants his way, and he doesn't care what it takes to get there. And he doesn't go away easily. So every morning, I've got to get up. I've got to crucify myself, put on my armor, sharpen my sword, oil it to make sure it's not going to get rusty, oil up my shield to make sure it doesn't get brittle and catch on fire from the fiery darts of the evil one. I've got to gird up with the armor of God, and I've got to go into battle. I don't have any choice. I don't have any choice because, why? Because you're the pastor? No, because God has called me to be a royal priesthood, a chosen race, a holy nation, a people of His possession. That's what He's called me to. So, each of you, you are that priesthood. Trust me, you are chosen to lead people to Him. And you say, well, I don't get it. How am I can't talk good. You don't have to talk anything. You just got to let the light shine. And the light ain't shining when shame has got it out, when guilt has got it out. You know what? Light doesn't shine very well when I'm hiding sins, because the people could see it faster than you can, trust me. We can't do that when we're fighting. We can't be royal priesthoods, and we can't be priests, and we can't be peculiar people. We can't be this when we're fighting the flesh constantly. Constantly. The battle for the Oreos is won and fought at the supermarket, not at the cupboard. So I can't lose weight. I keep eating Oreos. Stop buying Oreos. I can't quit drinking because I keep going to the bar. Stop going to the bar. You know what? I'm just going to say, up north there's a bar everywhere. I promise you have to pass by a church to get to it. Maybe if I spent more time at the altar rather than the bar, maybe my family could be restored. So, just saying crazy stuff. Good stuff, powerful stuff. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to realize that you are a royal priesthood, and that lines will come out of nowhere. And if we don't crucify this thing called the flesh, pick up the cross and carry it daily, then you know what? We are going to be devoured by the lion. The only way to beat back the lion is to chase him when he's not expecting it, to be on the offense and not the defense, and stop worrying and crying and whining over whatever, and start being proactive and say, Lord, yeah, I'm a child of the King. And I'm going to start speaking like a child of the King. I'm going to start acting like one. And the Lord's like, you realize you're acting like an Nazarite now? You're looking different, aren't you? Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for spending some time with us in service at Christ Point Church. And just wanting you to know that we love you guys, and you are an important part of Christ Point Church. If you're disconnected or in another state, or you want more updates, please visit us on our website. You can email us at info@christpoint.church. And if you want to know how to give, we have a text to give. You can see it flashing right now. Also, you can give on the app. A lot of people are asking about that. So we just want you to know that you are a vital and important part of Christ Point Church. Now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending some time with us online and on TV. We are real people, living real lives, serving a real God. Welcome home.